The push to the postseason heads into high gear. Welcome to Galaxy All Access for this week. Joe Tutino coming to you from the Home Depot Center. The Galaxy return to action Friday night, 8 o'clock, facing the Colorado Rapids right here. Tickets are available at lagalaxy.com or by calling 8773-GALAXY. Heading into this week's play, the Galaxy are in fourth place in the West, 43 points, 13-11-4. The club is 3 points out of third, 4 points out of second. Defensively, the Galaxy have cut off the goals against of late, giving up only one goal in their last 4 games in a stretch that's seen the club go 3-0-1. The stellar play on the back line has had some people talking about a few nicknames being tossed around right now. And in LA sports lore, you've heard about the fearsome foursome with the Rams, the Triple Crown line with the Kings, and, of course, Showtime with the Lakers. And now with the Galaxy, there are a couple floating around regarding that back four. A.J. DeLaGarza has mentioned the Fab Four, and supporters group LA Riot Squad has offered up Fantastic Four. Well, one of those members joins me today, and that's Todd Dunivant. Which one do you like best, Todd?
Hey, I'll let the fans decide that. Or AJ. I guess AJ's pretty hot on Twitter, so we'll let him get the fans going on that.
Welcome. Thanks for taking the time today.
Sure.
Last time you and I spoke, it was during the end of that May-June break, and I remember you said something to the fact of promising this team would do better going forward. What made you feel that way?
We always had a sense, that this team had a lot more. I mean, we obviously have a similar team to what we had in the last couple of years, and we knew we had a lot of potential and didn't live up to that in the beginning part of the year. And it was frustrating for all of us, obviously frustrating for the fans, and kind of a head-scratcher around the league. But we came back from that break and used those 2.5 weeks really to our advantage. We got rested, we got our heads right, we got back to business and practice, and I think you've seen the results ever since.
I imagine during that time of February through, because of Champions League, through that break, there was a time where it was a head-scratcher even for you guys, to a point where at some point you have to look yourselves in the mirror and say, hey, listen, we're just not doing what we need to do.
Yeah, it is. It was a situation where I think it was kind of a it didn't start well, and it was a downward spiral from there. And, that negative momentum kind of carried us too long. And we started listening to people. We started getting in our own heads, and we weren't playing like we know how we can play. And once we got a couple wins, and then things started to roll, and you get that positive momentum, and suddenly it's a whole different feeling around the locker room, around the stadium, and around the city. And, we've carried that through up to this point.
It's contagious, as they say. Losing is contagious, and so is winning. 10-3-2 since the break, according to my math, and that's what we'll go with today. I get the feeling the biggest positive of your back four, though, is the fact that it's just a comfort zone, knowing where the player beside you is doing and what they might do. Is that fair?
It's fair. I mean, this is really our fourth season together as a back four. Obviously, we had Greg Berhalter. We've had some other guys in there that have played huge roles for us, Leonardo and different guys. But, this group has been together now for four seasons, and we continue to build on the success that we've had. We were all brought in to do a job. I think in 2008 this team gave up something like 62 goals, and it was.
I remember seeing every one of those. Yeah, unfortunately.
So that was goal number one when they brought us in 2009, and I think we cut that number in half, and have kind of built on that ever since. Obviously, this year we've given up a few more, and but I think now that we have our starting group together, you've seen the difference.
For you, playing at left back, and I know that especially with the Galaxy, they like to get the backs forward into the offense from time to time. And how important is it for you to know, in this case you have A.J. DeLaGarza next to you much of the time, how important is it to know what that player is going to be doing if you decide to push forward?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, A.J. is probably one of the best covering players in the league. He doesn't get credit for that. I think that's probably his biggest strength is reading the game, covering, and blocking shots, and just being a little pest. And, he complements Omar so well in that way. If anything gets behind Omar, AJ's there to cover, make a sliding play, block a ball out of bounds. Those are the little plays that he does very well.
Let's go back to July 18th. You go down with a calf injury in Vancouver. I know that surface isn't the best one in Major League Soccer. You knew immediately when it happened, because I remember you just kind of got up and motioned to the sidelines, said, that's it, I got to go. What happened on that play?
It was actually the 4th minute. And it happened. It was kind of a freak play. I just got kicked in the back of the leg right under the calf. And, you get up, and I felt it right away. But a lot of times you can just shake that off. It was kind of a nothing play. I mean, obviously got kicked pretty hard, but just happened to be in the right spot. And I gutted it out for another 20 minutes. But I had worn the sideline because it wasn't getting better. And the pain had, gone from my calf down to my Achilles, and actually around in the front to my shins. I felt like I had shin splints and a calf injury and an Achilles injury all at the same time. So it just kept getting worse. So I gave the bench a heads up and gutted it out for about another 20 minutes, and eventually just had to come off.
So you obviously you've had ankle injuries in the past and lower leg injuries in the past, and some that have kept you out for an extended period. What's going through your mind when that happens?
Well, that was a weird one. I obviously put ice on it right away when I went off, and by halftime it took me about I couldn't put any weight on it. I couldn't hardly get into the locker room. So at that point I knew it was something pretty serious, and it turned into about a 3-week injury, which isn't the worst of things, but at the time I think we had 2 games a week during that period. A couple of them were friendlies that you obviously like to play in, but not the worst if you miss, in terms of the grand scheme of things. So it was just one of those freak things. I took a knock, and the swelling and the bleeding kind of crept into the different compartments in my lower leg, and that took a little while to drain out.
Yeah, well, poor Brian Gall got thrown to the wind in the Real Madrid game. That's something it's a nice memory to have, I guess. But he came in and filled in for you for a time, and I would think you being a veteran, knowing what this club is going through, you had some spot duty from Omar at that point. It had to eat at you not being able to help your club.
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating not to be out there, but Brian did a great job. He stepped in and playing still a position that he's getting familiar with. He played forward a lot in college and has played there a little bit, but really didn't play left back until the combine by accident. So he's still learning the position and doing a great job of it. He continues to make strides, and I was proud of the way he played.
You said something a little bit earlier prior to you coming to the Galaxy and this new defense put in place, 62 goals given up. It was important for Bruce Arena to make sure we're going to stop the goals scored against, and then we'll worry about the offensive later. That brings me to my next question, because the big problem early in the season for this team was on both sides of the ball, stopping goals and scoring goals. Well, lo and behold, you guys stop goals against, and all of a sudden the offense gets on track, and now you guys are at a +8. How important was it to stop the goals against to get that offense in gear, or did it really matter?
Well, this team's always been built on defense, especially the first couple seasons in 09 and 2010. I think defense first was always our motto, and we won a lot of games 1-0 last year even. Going through the Supporter Shield run and going through the playoffs, and obviously the final was 1-0. So we won a lot of games by scoring a goal and not getting beat. And we were difficult to break down, and once we got that goal, we knew we could lock it down and shut the game down. And that was frustrating for other teams, and it was effective for us. I think we only lost a handful of games last year, and that was a big reason why.
But you guys are getting to that trend, though. That trend is starting to begin. I said at the top of the interview, 3-0-1 in your last 4. You've given up only 1 goal. I'm not so sure we've gotten to a point where Galaxy score a goal and the game's over, but we're getting there.
It's getting better. I mean, like you said, we've given up 1 goal in the last 4 games, and that's a good mark by anyone's measure. So, we continue to defend like that. We're going to win a lot of games, and with guys like Landon and Robbie and Edson and Mike McGee and Jose, and the list goes on and on. I mean, these guys are scoring goals. Juninho is on fire right now. Marcelo has been playing great. David's scoring goals. I mean, it's a dangerous combination. So we know that in the playoffs you can't rely on 2-3 goals a game. You got to be able to shut teams down, and 1 goal needs to be able to win the game for you. And we have to get back to that, and we're making progress.
First time we talked, you guys weren't having too much fun at that break. At this break, it seems like you guys, just by that answer, it sounds like you guys are starting to have a good time.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's contagious. And when you win, it's fun. I mean, this business is all about winning. It doesn't matter what your possession is, how many shots you get, how many corner kicks. It's all about the scoreline at the end of the day. And that's the difference in the locker room and the feeling in the club. And things have been going well lately, and it's a positive momentum that we want to carry into the playoffs and forward into the rest of the year.
I said at the top it's a playoff push at this point. Do you guys feel that right now, or is it still 1 game at a time?
It's still 1 game at a time. I mean, the good thing for us is that, again, it's helped us that we've had so many Western Conference games. I mean, the unbalanced schedule, ironically, kind of helped us in the end because we were able to make up ground playing so many games against conference opponents. And, we just had another one against Vancouver, which was a big win for us. And now you've got Colorado twice. I think we've got Salt Lake, Seattle, San Jose, and then Toronto. So 5 of those 6 are teams that are either above us or right knocking at our heels. So that's huge. And, it's all about jockeying for position now, and obviously we'd like to get in that top 3 spot so that you don't have to play the 4 or 5 play-in game and have another game, lodged in that busy period in the playoffs.
Yeah, and sprinkling a trip to Puerto Rico in the mix right there as well. So it's still not easy. It's always been a roller coaster ride, but for whatever reason, this season has been a little more difficult, I think, as far as scheduling is concerned.
Yeah, it is. It's the good thing with Champions League is there's 2 less games than last year. I think last year we had 6 games in group play, and this year there's only 4. So that helps, and getting the 2 wins is big. And if we can get a win in Puerto Rico, that makes our life a lot easier. So we're going to put a lot into that game.
Today is September 11th as we tape this interview today, and I know a lot of people are reflecting upon the tragedy that occurred with the Twin Towers going down and terrorist acts here on our soil. A lot of people might not remember, but the Galaxy ended up playing the New York, New Jersey Metro Stars in the first game at Giant Stadium. Soon after that, I believe we were about 10 days after that, the league went right into the playoffs. Where were you on this day?
I was a junior at Stanford, and we were in preseason at the time. Actually, I think we weren't in preseason, but school hadn't started yet, so we were in the dorms, and our season, I think, had just begun, and we were about to go to the SMU tournament. We had a big tournament coming up, and obviously with September 11th, everything was shut down. The airways or the skies were shut down. No flights were able to go, so we couldn't go, and the Earthquakes couldn't fly either. So it turned out that we ended up getting a couple scrimmages with the Earthquakes, kept them fresh, kept us playing. But it was an emotional day. I mean, it was something that we woke up to on the West Coast, a little bit later than most maybe, and it was an off day, ironically, for us as well. So it was a shocking thing to wake up to, and I think we were all just glued to the TVs like everyone else, and it was certainly something that I'll never forget, and I think most people remember where they were on that day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure people remember exactly what time they were at a certain point when they got the news. Friday night, now back to Galaxy action. I think it was important to ask the question. Friday night against Colorado, they're in must-win situation. They're trying to climb up and get in and hopefully have a playoff opportunity. You're going to get their best. You guys normally get somebody's best, whoever it is. So at this point, is it important to worry about them or really just about you guys?
No, you have to worry about them. You have to respect what they have, and they're coming off a big win against Portland at home. It was another must-win for them, and they came out, and I watched that game, and they were flying. I think it was, early on they were getting scoring chances and putting Portland under a lot of pressure, and they had guys that haven't seen a lot of time. Akpan up top had a lot of energy, and their young faces really caused a lot of problems. So they have nothing to lose in a way, and you can kind of feel that in their team. So that's a dangerous team. And over the years, Colorado's been tough when they've come into Los Angeles to play us. So, we're expecting a lot from them.
8 o'clock start, folks. 8 o'clock start Friday night here at the Home Depot Center. Tickets available at LAGalaxy.com or by calling 877-3-GALAXY. Todd, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
For Todd Dunivant, Joe Tutino saying thank you for once again listening to LAGalaxy.com and Galaxy All Access. Have a great day.